A very good afternoon to everyone out here. And since morning, we have been having wonderful sessions. Have been listening to some of the speakers who have been of part of this journey from the very beginning, who have done PhD in AI ML, who have been scholars in this particular field, and after the kind of benchmark which has been set in the first session, I think it is very difficult to match that kind of quality of conversation, but we will try. And because we have this panel again with eminent panelists, just to have a quick introduction of the panelists out here, we have Mr. Arun Arvind. He's the head of business banking, HDFC Bank. We have Mr. Mohammad Ilyas. He's managing director, BCC Martech Chennai. We have Mr. M. K. Anand. He's chairman MSME and ICT subcommittee, Andhra Chamber of Commerce. And I am Mohammad Zaidi. I'm associate director with the Grant Thornton Bharat. And my colleague, Mr. Vijay Konduru. He's also associate director in the firm. To start the conversation, I think we all have been given a context of what is Industry 4.0. There are 9 components, including cloud computing, IoT, and other stuff. But to understand, and this particular theme that we are talking about is digital transformation in MSME. Now, before this, in the morning, we were having this discussion that digital transformation comprise of digitization and digitalization in MSME. What exactly is the difference in that, and how these two aspects are to be adopted, and what are the challenges in that? So to begin with, I would like Mr. Ilyas to briefly build on this and speak a little bit more on the digital marketing aspect of in MSME space. Mr. Ilyas, over to you.
So hi everyone. We've been talking a lot about the production side of the business, the technology and the production side. When we talk about marketing, it is marketing 5.0 is what we discuss in our industry forums. We talk about metaverse, we talk about ChatGPT, we talk about a lot of things. So when it comes to digital transformation, we are talking about not the ease of doing business, we are talking about the speed of doing business, as one of the panelists pointed out. So whether you are in a service segment or in a product segment, manufacturing your own product or selling someone else's product, or no product, no service, but still you are in a community business and you're able to cater to your customer who could be anywhere in India, anywhere in the world. And that's precisely what we get to see with the power of digital transformation, of the digital technologies that get into place. It is actually giving power to simple, small, nimble, or even a single man or a single woman business. So an individual is becoming more powerful with the help of these technologies and can cross boundaries. That being said, taking it forward, so what is required for doing all this? So my discussion is going to be more on the marketing aspect. So what's more required here is the digital mindset, we call it. This is a very important aspect. One case study I can refer. There's one Miss Sangeeta who has a textile showroom. It's a very small showroom. I can say it's a shop in a place, it's a marketplace in a place called Saukarpet, where it is just a 10 by 10 shop, and she cannot engage more than 3 to 4 customers at a time. And the same individual, the same businesswoman now, is able to talk and engage with 2,000 on an average, or sometimes it is on a peak, 3,000 people on a Facebook Live. The technology was always available. So what is the change here is the mindset. He doesn't have a formal education to really, be very qualified to use this technology. She wanted to use the technology and reach out to more people, and she was able to do this. So in just say 60 minutes of her Facebook Live or an Instagram Live that she does, she's able to back 100 to 150 orders in just 1 hour time. And right after that 1 hour session, she goes back to packing. And what's interesting to notice, these customers are not the local people who come and buy. Of course, they are also there. There are people from different parts of Chennai, different parts of Tamil Nadu, different parts of India, and also outside India. Interestingly, she has customers who come and watch her Facebook Live even during odd hours from US and Canada. So the idea is the mindset that's really important. Because we talk a lot about technology. If the entrepreneur doesn't have the mindset to really adopt it, then it becomes a real mess, basically. The second important aspect that I see is about the training. We need to know as entrepreneurs what are the different options and possibilities which are available. Technology is not a standard component. There are different colors to technology. There are different aspects to it. So what is the color that suits you? What is the size that fits you? Your organization, more particularly, not looking at the competition. The competition has got XYZ technology. Can I get the same one? No, that may not be appropriate. What fits your value system is also very important. So here is where I want to talk about a case study. I did a project with, and the project is still continuously, is an ongoing project with Andhra Chamber of Commerce under the leadership of President Ma'am, and also funded by FNF. It's a very fantastic program wherein we're talking about digital technologies, training digital technologies to MSMEs, more on the marketing aspect. We started this program in 2019, and so far it's been like 5 years, and we have trained nearly 5,000 entrepreneurs. And all these entrepreneurs are like very, very handpicked, very like a lot of criteria are there to pick them up. Basically, only the serious ones are given entry. And what we have seen is most of the entrepreneurs who come to this program, they tell us this very simple stuff, like, in most of our recordings, you can find it. I know Facebook being used only for entertainment or for a gossip or, just chit-chatting and whiling away my time, for time pass, basically. I never knew that this could be put to business use. And during that one-day session, and right after that, there's a 10 days mentoring program that we provide. We have seen there is a recorded turnover of 5 crores from the entire lot of MSMEs that we have trained so far. They were able to generate 5 crores worth business, and this is a recorded one, and it's in fact more than that. So the idea is those who never knew the possibilities are made aware of the possibilities, more from the management level. When the owners, the business owners are aware of the possibilities, they either put that knowledge to use either by themselves or they get their staff trained on this. And there is a separate session on the training, skill training as well. So taking it forward, the third step and the most important thing that I see is discovery sessions. What's lacking is we are very much carried away with the technology and we want the technology to be there without really understanding whether we read that technology. It could be a marketing technology, it could be any other technology. There should be discovery sessions from the top management to the middle management, and even with customers, open sessions to really understand where we are failing or where we can really improve. To just give you a simple example on this one case study, what Jio Mart, when they wanted to launch their supermarket, the online supermarket, they did a very deep study basically, and then through a lot of data, customer analytics, a lot of stuff, they wanted to understand this very simple aspect, and they just came up with an offer. And the offer was very interesting, very simple. So they came up with an offer saying that, a badam of half kg is offered at 350 rupees. It was a very profound marketing. They had a very profound marketing strategy behind it. It looked very simple at the outset. So the idea was basically when this was out in the market, there are a lot of people who don't really buy badam half kg or 1 kg because their grocery purchase limit is very less. They even buy just say 50 grams or just say 100 grams. So when this was coming out in the market and those who are already buying, they know that this is not offered at this price. In fact, the price is higher. It is either 400 or 450 or even 500 in some cases. So they actually, the entire logic was to attract people who are a premium customers, who have an average grocery value of, say, they spend nearly 10,000 rupees on an average per month on grocery. So they were actually trying to acquire a customer who could spend 1.2 lakhs on groceries alone for an year. So one simple strategy like this could really turn around the business. The idea was to say that when these discovery sessions keep happening within your organization, you can really hit gold. And the fourth important thing that I wanted to tell you, taking it forward from here, is about niche specialization. MSMEs, especially whether you have technology, you don't have technology, still there's a greater threat. You feel really threatened by a big company, a big corporate basically. So what's lacking in most of the cases is we don't have a niche specialization. We are still acting like generalists. That shouldn't be the case. When you have a technology, you should be very much focused on what your core is all about. And it should not be against the big corporates. and it should be, in fact, in a very collaborative environment that can really, amplify your reach and scale up your business in a much faster way. So that being said, I just hand over the mic to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Elias. A very nice perspective on use of digital platforms to augment your reach and your customer base. But in addition to this, this particular aspect, there is one very, very important aspect in terms of digital transformation in MSME, which is access to finance, and that is something which is very, very critical. Uh, in fact, there are projects which are going on in various states, which is World Bank funded, and I personally been involved in one of the states where access to finance is a very critical component. But the problem is lack of data, formalization of MSMEs. We did this study. We found that the number of MSMEs who are registered on Udyam portal vis-a-vis the number of actual MSMEs in the state is hardly 15%, 20%. And what are the issues, challenges, in spite of having a very robust digital banking platform to reach out to the intended customer and make them avail this particular product, is something I would like to understand from Mr. Arun. He's the business head for HDFC Bank. So over to you.
Good afternoon to all, and thanks, Saidi and the Grand Thornton team to invite us on this. Rightly so, the biggest pain point right now in the MSME space is basically the financing, the formal financing. I would say all of you might have the informal financing, which is upwards of probably a double-digit interest rate, but you don't have a formal financing which will make sure that your business is competitive in the marketplace, right? That is the most important piece. And just to put a perspective to the number, what we understand is that there is around 6 crores MSMEs registered in this country. Out of that, only 2 crores take money from the formal financing system. It's almost still 4 crores people still rely upon their own equity or probably some money lender or some alternate channels to make the financing happen. Now, coming to the reason why when the personal level debt, if you look at the PLs and the auto loans and the car loans, if you look at it, the individual promoters of those companies can actually get money digitally today with a click of probably 10 seconds through an app or a digital app. You can get it because of your personal data is completely digitalized, which is available to all the fintechs and the banks to process. But when it comes to the MSMEs, the challenge which we face is that most of them, out of the total number which we said, is being constituted as a sole proprietorship or a partnership. So now that data is not available in the public domain unless and until you give it to that particular financing, the counterparty, right? So that is where the challenge. Now, if you are a private limited or a public limited or for that matter for an LLP, I can still get your basic financials from the ROC and then probably come back with you an offer upfront. But that is a challenging fact when that is not available for us to do it, right? So that's still something which structurally we need to change it unless and until there is a regulatory platform to actually put this financials into this thing. Bankers will still find it difficult to give something on a digital STP process which you are thinking, right? So that is one challenge which we face in terms of digitalizing the MSME financing. But having said that, there are certain derivatives of things which we can do it, like the way most of you guys pay GST, right? So when you have the GST data, banks can actually structure certain things around the GST data and then give you certain limits based on your GST details which the bank have. Then many of you must be knowing about the Udyam portal as well as, the GEM portal as well as the TREDS platform, right? Wherein you can participate and then probably the banks can finance, suppose your invoices on a digital basis when that is available. But let me be very honest, that will not complete the circle unless and until a bank gives you a proper working capital finance. For that, right now, the probably the shortfall what we see is basically the data availability in terms of the company financials and other thing, right? That is one point. The on a larger side to all the MSMEs, what I want to say is that if you look at it, right, in India, what happens with our MSMEs are that we try to operate as a converter. Okay, when I say converter, is that basically, for example, we process scrap and then we try to produce steel out of it, right? Now, when you do that, the problem is that you are operating in a margin which is in single digits, including your EBITDA, right? So now, but you compare some of the MSMEs, which are the vital, what do you call, pillars of some of the overseas developed nations. You take Germany, for example. Germany is a country wherein the MSMEs or the SMEs thrive, right? And they are called Mittelstand companies. And they all run with a margin of upwards of 20%, and that happens because of the quality consciousness and the kind of delivery which they do. So my larger point is that to ensure the credit flow to the system increases, okay, is only happens when you focus more on your quality and try to increase your margins, right? When you are in a single digit margins at 2%, 3% net margin and an EBITDA of 6, 5, 6%, what happens is that the banks tend to think that this is a slightly riskier business to probably lend with, right? That is the reason you see that the credit flows are so low from the organized sector to this sector, because of the credit costs are pretty high. If you look at it, it was like around 14%, before COVID, and after the write-off, right now it is at 6% on a banking level, right? So that that the banks price the risk according to the credit cost, right? That's the reason you see a housing loan at 8.4 but a personal loan at 12%. It's just that doesn't change anything for us. It's only based on the credit cost. So that's largely the point. I hope I have touched upon the challenges and what is that still within the challenges what we can do as a digital process. Thanks.
Thank you so much. One of the things, another critical issue is, in spite of very robust digital platforms which has been built by some of the leading banks, including HDFC, SBI, PNB, ICICI, and SIDBI for that matter, it's the user interface. And micro and tiny enterprise still would like to go and submit the stock statement physically rather than putting it on the online. So that is change management is also a very critical aspect, I believe. So speaking of the change management, I want to understand from Vijay, having the experience of implementing these changes at the ground level, and since it has been very, very clearly outlined that India comprises of, among the entire MSME ecosystem, largely 95-96% as micro enterprise. Even within micro enterprise, majority of them are tiny. What I mean by tiny is with a turnover of 10 to 25 lakh kind of a thing. Where do we start the digital transformation? What is the entry point, and what is the way in which the entire transformation can take place? And what is the methodology basically? That is what we wanted to understand from you.
Yeah, sure, Zaidi. So if you want to talk about how do we start the journey of digital transformation, first is, again, I'll come back right to that basic point. Look at that process which you want to start with. That is the first one. And the obstacles which you will face, when you take this up, are the resistance to change. Because people are so used to working in a particular way and a particular time that they will first resist any technology intervention that is being thought of. And even when that is taken up and it has been decided that yes, we will go ahead and try this out, people will try different methods to sabotage. That has been our experience. That technology, I'll give one simple example where we tried to implement a mobile application. So when this mobile application was implemented, so this was for a gate-in process for trucks that are coming into a particular facility. So what used to happen there is all the person or the security person had to do there was just enter the time at which the truck came in. So there were just two data points that he need to enter into the app. Now, when the progress was getting reviewed, it was identified that yes, at the security itself, the step is not taking place. Now, people started blaming that the mobile application is not working well. It has a lot of bugs. It is not up to the mark. But when a deep dive was done, actually, what was found out is that the Wi-Fi signal was very weak. So then when it was pointed out that yes, the Wi-Fi is the actual culprit, it's not the mobile application. And then when it was again, training was given, people were again taught that yes, you need to go through this checklist. First you need to check whether the mobile Wi-Fi is working or not, whether your mobile application is opening up or not, whether all the fields are getting populated or not. So it is a lot of training, a lot of I would say a lot of awareness that needs to be created. And also you need to make the stakeholders in the process aware of what their contribution is when they're being asked to undergo this change in terms of adopting a new technology. So I would say maybe three things. One is your resistance to change, awareness, and giving the right amount of training. And a lot of, I would say, a lot of sessions you need to do, especially at the ground level, to ensure that people understand what this is about and how to go about doing this. So,
Thank you, Vijay. Very, very interesting perspective on that. In fact, one of the examples that I can think of is there was issue in terms of adaptation of one particular system, and the system was passed on and implemented, but somehow it was not working because it was as simple as the entrepreneur who was using that particular system was using on OS and sorry, on Apple platform, and the technology which was developed was meant for Microsoft platform. As simple as that, there is these are some of the glitches. And taking that forward, I would like to understand from Mr. Anand, from his vast experience, what has been the pain point in terms of implementation of these technologies and the transformation which within the micro and small and medium enterprises, and the biggest issue, addressing the elephant in the house, which is change management. And also I would like him to summarize the session also. So over to you.
Thank you, JD. Very good afternoon. I know that it's a lunch time, so I would like to look at the whole stuff from your perspective, as if I am the MSME entrepreneur running my own industry, and how do I look at the whole conference, and how do I look at the learning that has been shared by the experts here. If I were you, I would like to look at as your mind voice now. First of all, do we want to really transform? It's the first question I'm asking myself as an entrepreneur. If I have to transform my business, whatever I am, I need to know where the gap is. Where I am today is the first step towards the whole conference objective. Where I am today and where I should be. Where I am today to where I should be, there is a path. There is a lot of exercise have to be done mentally at your office when you go back. Have we all done our own internal analysis about where we are today in terms of technology, in terms of implementation of technologies? That itself takes quite a bit of time for all of us, because we never sit back and relax and think about where are we today, because all the time we are running and running and running for our day-to-day survival. I'm talking about typical MSME parlance. Since we are not able to sit back, relax and understand where we are today, we are unable to really embrace any new thoughts are being shared by the different experts and different conferences. We go and attend various conferences and workshops, but we are unable to really embrace them. It's only a superficial knowledge sharing or knowledge acquisition exercise that we do it. with a lot of interest, of course. A lot of people out there aren't attending. You are here. That itself shows that you are ready for transformation. I must really share, real appreciation to you. Once we understand what we are and where we should be, then we also eventually would be able to think through where we ought to be. OUGHT, where we ought to be. That is going to be the final version of our journey. Imagine an MSME, irrespective of the industry and sector that we represent, we have been running business for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Probably the top line and bottom line not increasing. I've been doing, let us say, 1 crore, and I've been doing only 1 crore for last 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. But the market is actually going faster than the marketing that we do. The technology which is going faster than the technology that I adopted. Everything is going faster. Even the new generation of employees are coming up with a different expectations, quality of work, technology-based office atmosphere, but we are unable to really catch them. And they're all actually staying for a few months, few years, they move out. Why? Because I have not changed it. So the fundamental transformation that all of us as an entrepreneur, I think, should be able to see is to first find out what are the gaps that we have as a management. Once we understand, this is what we call in management parlance change management. Once we understand this, imagine these kind of conferences normally happens at the corporate level. Today, thanks to Grant Thornton, all the experts here, today we are talking to MSMEs, which means they have realized, I would say, the industry has realized that this is where the market is. But there's a market for all of us, right? As experts. So we are the market for all these biggies, people who are selling software, they are ready to even democratize the whole software. Why 60 lakhs? Why not as a subscription model? Why should I go for CapEx? I go for OpEx, cloud computing, SaaS, software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. Everything becomes service. You just pay only. Yesterday I was talking to one software as a service organization in Bangalore. They said you are receiving calls and you have an inbound call management team at your office. How many calls you receive? I said we are receiving about 120 calls, something like that. He said, okay, sir, how many calls are fresh calls? How many calls are follow-up calls? How many calls are proposal calls? How many calls are order closing calls? Do you have a track? Yes, we have a track. Only the caller, the telemarketing person who has to update in my CRM. No, they don't have to really update. There's an app available and you will come to know how many calls, fresh calls they made, how many calls, follow-up calls, how many calls, quotation calls, how many calls, order payment calls, how many calls are junk calls. Today the product is available for 700 rupees per user per month. Gone are the days, we all depend on the human update, human intelligence to update us. Today technology is democratized. It's available as a OpEx, not as a CapEx. That is why since morning, even Professor Batmanand was saying that you don't have to really worry about investment. Remove that barrier if at all we have. These are all technology only for corporates and multinationals, not for us. No, they are available for us. So the change management is the first step. So I have created 3 steps that I wanted to share it with you. First one is a learning. Of course, we are doing it here. And we go and attend a lot of workshops and programs online. Once the learning happens, after the learning, what happens when we go back? We need to really create process out of the learning that we have undergone today or these kind of workshops. How do we create that process? We need to have a small technology team in the organization. Maybe entrepreneurs themselves can, get into this or create 1 or 2 the new fresh people who joined your organization who are tech savvy and youth, more of power. They know better than many of us actually speaking. So if you can create 1 or 2 or even outsource team as an intern from the nearest college as a youth, catch hold of them, create a small team, they will be able to create a simple process for you. As the earlier panel, the speaker said about the AI products. Today, just to quote an example which I've experienced personally myself a couple of days ago, that for my home, exterior, I wanted to change. So I approached one architect. He gave me a bombshell of a proposal for the design. That is only for the idea that he's going to generate, not a solution. And then I bumped to somebody, a person who was good at AI. He said, no, just go. There's a prompt engineering. You have remodel.ai. Download that AI. Take your exterior photograph, put it in remodel.ai, and choose all the patterns that you have in your mind, and it will give you multiple options. It gave me multiple options. Today I am not going to the, sorry to say, the architect. I created my own exterior design. I'm only looking for a service provider to implement, come and implement it. I have the end product available as a visualization. Somebody has to come and do it. That simple it is. If you have to automate your sales and marketing, supply chain management, customer, the relationship management, HR relationship management, recruitment, every single operation of an MSME, we don't have a lot of people working in the company. The owner himself does every job. The director of the company himself does many jobs. So we can actually go for these alternates in terms of embracing this technology to be able to implement. So this is second level is process. Third level is once the learning done, process done, automatically customer satisfaction improves. When the customer satisfaction improves, I am talking about PMS here. Indirectly, if you could really see the balanced scorecard. Once the customer satisfaction improves because you are able to immediately respond with these technologies, naturally your financial top line and bottom line eventually will increase. So ultimately, even balanced scorecard of HR always says learning followed by process, followed by customer satisfaction, followed by financial benefits or financial turnaround. This is a step one process. Step two, I look at it as a tech associate. As I mentioned, you can have one or two tech associate. You can have your one friend, daughter, son, whoever it is, your friend can be your tech associate. And then please ask them to visit the nearest competitor or a fraternity, same fraternity for that matter, people who implemented these technologies in their organization. We don't have to really, reinvent the whole wheel. There are already out there, some people are doing the same exercises, the same industry. If you can ask them to visit and do a survey, you will get to know, you don't have to really reinvent the wheel, you don't have to hire a lot of people, pay a lot of money, nothing. Just take the intern, give the project, go and find out how they implemented and what they implemented. So you will have a blueprint. Third, once that is done, then you will have to have one DT, which is a digital technologist, I would call, to be with you, to be able to structure what has been learned from the marketplace, all the tools that they talked about, and then create your own internal strategy for your business. Once that is done, we go to the third step. The third step is creating short-term, mid-term, long-term goal and start jumping into the execution of things, not just about learning. Execution matters most. That's why there's a book called Execution, which talks about execute and execute and execute. Otherwise, it's only a knowledge share. We acquire a lot of knowledge, but we don't implement it. So fix the short-term, mid-term, long-term goal and take this technologist to implement certain basic tools in sales and marketing, in customer relationship, in HR, recruitment, supply chain. Once all these are integrated, you will see a dramatic change the way the organization is functioning every single day in your business. This is how the slow and steady steps one can really, get into as a starter. So there are 5 steps to summarize. One is yet to start people. Please go and learn. If you already started learning, then start a form of, a single small tech team, tech advocacy team or technologies team, and let them go and explore the tools and techniques that are being already, implemented by several organizations. Step number 3, create strategic framework based on the learning that they've undergone in the marketplace. Step number 4, come up with annual operating plan with a short-term, mid-term, long-term. And then step number 5, create milestone timelines and do a robust, strict weekly review meeting of what has been learned, what has been created as a framework, what has been implemented, what are the lacuna. If you have an issue, catch hold of experts like Grant Thornton. I hope you are able to help MSMEs. Catch hold of experts and see where we are moving. If you are able to do this, I am able to do it in my own consulting fraternity. I do a lot of consulting work for SMEs. Every single day I meet about 3-4 MSMEs coming to my office. If I am able to do that in consulting space, why not in your manufacturing and retail and things like that? So with this, I would like to kind of taking the summary note where Mr. Muhammad Ali has talked about the speed of business. That's a powerful word he used, speed of business. So this is where the gap is. We are running business, but we are not at that speed. If you are able to identify what speed you are, so please do the health check of your business, speed check of your business. You will come to know where you are today, maybe 10%, 20%, but we have to go a long way. Number two, he talked about digital mindset. I always ask this question to MSMEs: are you an MSME or digital MSME? If you are just an MSME and not digital MSME, which means you are ready to start. If you are digital MSME, in what way you are implementing all the digital technology in your business? Do a proper check. Second thing he addressed on FB Live example of Saukarpet Sangeeta. That's a wonderful case study. Then third point he covered about training and learning. Of course, it's happening through various forums like Andhra Chamber regularly does that. Then discovery sessions he mentioned beautifully, which means after the learning, the discovery session begins. Then he said beautifully, which is happening today. You see every time when you open Facebook or when you happen to see learning, the speakers were teaching a lot of stuff, trainers and coaches. They say we are only 2 people, we are doing 5 million. We are only 1-person organization having 10 automated tools, we are making so much money. So many people are talking about it. He talked about the same context here for MSMEs. Be a niche specialization, a specialist in your business. Don't be a generalist, but a specialist. These are the points he covered. Of course, Vijay covered, Mr. Arun covered a banker. I just want to share, Mr. Arun, it's not just about today we have to borrow money for debt fund. Gone are the days. I'm sorry to say this. Today SME IPO is available. SME exchange is available. It's just not for big company making lot of profits. If you are even doing a 3 crore turnover with a 1.5 crore asset with about 10 to 12% of PAT that you're able to create, and you are ready for free money coming from SME exchange. I hope many of you know there are 449 companies listed in SME exchange by BSE with the 80,000 crore market capitalization. There are 14 startup companies have been listed in SME exchange with zero investment, zero profits. They're all startup. They are listed in SME startup IPO listing companies. So you can actually aim for even free flow of money coming from SME exchange. Not that everybody can afford, but you can still try this option out. And he talked about one important point Mr. Arun mentioned, and also Jairdi mentioned, that there are 6.3 million companies in the country. Only 15% of the companies registered with Udayam portal. The biggest challenge which I always see experience is we are not visible to the government platforms. We are not visible to the government system. When we are not visible to them, the services, the policy that they're making will not reach to us. So unless we go register ourselves with GEM portal to everywhere, I think we'll be having more access to those schemes and policies. Finally, Mr. Vijay, you mentioned about resistance. I think I covered on the change management. And awareness creation, you said second point. Third, you said training. I think all of these points are covered in this session. I hope this is useful to you. Thank you.
The only one point which I just want to say on the SME exchange side, just to that, not to try to market banks, right? I'm just trying to say this. If you look at the cost of your funding, right? Whichever models you look at it, the cost of equity is the highest cost, right? So my suggestion would be always is that debt is something wherein you pay a fixed coupon, okay? Equity is something wherein your upside is like, see for example, what if that you are giving 20% of my company today at a certain price instead of borrowing at 8%, and tomorrow when that 20% become 10 times, right? You still pay the bank 8%, right? I will not ask for an upside in equity. So I'm just saying that, see, it's very good. It's a good platform. When you think you are matured and then you feel that there is a project and this thing wherein probably funding is difficult, I think that is the time you need to do this thing. I think you should keep your equity precious, okay? Because that is the highest cost one, okay? So I just thought that I'll just tell you. Sorry to clarify that point.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's always a chicken and egg question.
No, I think, I think the promoters know well that, whether
Absolutely.
equity or debt is better.
Absolutely. Couple of quick questions from the audience and then we'll close the session.
Actually, my question is, instead of going for new MSME companies, stand-up, startup, etc., I was a head of retail loan credit management in a nationalized bank, and I retired. Where I have seen places like Ambattur Industrial Estate, Gindi Industrial Estate, Hosur Industrial Estate, and Tirupur, there were so many MSMEs, they were annihilated. for some reason or other, maybe COVID one reason, non-delivery of credit on time. There are hundreds of reasons. So is it not the time for the Andhra chambers to see that how these small-scale industries got them annihilated, could not survive in a very competitive field, because technology is a white elephant. All MSMEs cannot afford. Even for the survival, they are swimming day in and day out. So much so, a study with like IIM can do. Why? How come that these already created MSMEs could not survive? For what reason? Not necessarily for finance. Maybe I have seen mismanagement or whatever, diversion of funds, etc. But is it not necessary to do a study so that the people who are coming into this fold from now onwards will not commit the same mistakes which they have done? And it will be a great lesson. Perhaps Grant Thornton may take it up as a academic exercise and help us, the industry, to see that what are all the eventual problems, potential problems, challenges, and try to be away from that. It is my suggestion. I would like to take your call.
Thank you. If I may take this, because this is exactly what we have been doing for one of the states. For reasons I cannot reveal the name, but we are in the process of developing an app which will give an early warning signal based on certain parameters like consumption of your electricity or GST returns over a period of time, probably a quarter or two. And then a warning signal alert will be given to the DICs, District Industry Centers, IPOs, and they will go and visit the units, understand what is the problem. There are financial problems, there are non-financial problems, right? So you cannot have one solution fit all kind of a thing. So that customization is also being built. And that is where we are using the app, we are using the technology, and stayed at a government level, this is being done, right? So we are in the process of doing it. We are also collaborating with various other governments. Even we can collaborate with at a enterprise level also. So this is what is being done. Yeah.
Yes, sir. From the banker's point of view, we look at the accounts which has turned into non-performing assets, right? And wherein we take certain findings from that, and then we always apply when it comes to the new credit assessment. See, the larger problem today is that we all need to understand as MSMEs is that if you are going to rely on the subsidies and the supports from the government, it is going to stop at one point, right? Now, when we assess many of them, that's the reason I said exactly the net margins and other thing. If I take away that 3 or 4% margin which the government is giving on the interest subvention and the export subsidies and other thing, today many of them are non-competitive the moment that is moved out. So you cannot build a business based on a subsidy flow from a government, right? So that's the one basic mistake people do. And the second one is obviously sometimes people want to chase growth, people are mistimed the cycles, those things happens. But rightly so, bankers also can give a lot of inputs in terms of what went wrong in the past and then what we are seeing currently. But largely what we see is this, we need to see that, like the way he said, we need to be a niche player with a better margin so that you will take care of the volatility in the markets, which will be continuing. This market is going to have volatility every year going forward. So unless and until you don't have the margin built up and the kind of liquidity with you, then it will be difficult for you to see through that particular period. So that is a more important thing on that side. Yeah.
I like to address from chamber perspective to sir's question. I hope many of you know that Andhra Chamber of Commerce, we have every second Saturday, we have something called FCS. It's called Free Consultancy Services. We have been doing for the last 50 years. And Professor, you said, the industry institution connect that we have been talking. So we have kind of signed up MOU with colleges in and around Chennai. We actually love to do like what Mr. Narasimhan said in the earlier panel discussion, in consensus with FNF, that Andhra Chamber today, now we have aligned with Grant Thornton and we are trying to offer whatever the service that we can do. Going forward, we can step down and associate with the other association, industrial associations. Could be like Tirupur or Ambattur or Marimalinagar or Tirumudivakam or wherever, Gindi or wherever it is. We can go one step forward and sign up with the local association, connect the institutions, use the students, we have a youth power for the survey and the analysis, business analytics, and then bring out a paper back to the policy makers. So this is where the problem is, the real problem is, and what are the possible solutions from the experts who are here. I think we can really connect the dots, the last mile issue that all of us are facing at the industrial level. I'm sure your point is well taken, and we will work on that. Thank you.
Uh, Thank you.
One more question, one quick question. We'll not spend more than 2 minutes. Sorry. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Professor Ramanan. I am ex-GM of SIDBI and now working as Professor of Practice with VIT Vellore. So, thanks to Mr. Anand, who has summarized in very clear terms what are the steps to be taken by MSMEs to become digital transformation. Actually, this has been taken very well in our curriculum itself, while revising that board of studies, whatever the syllabus we are having in the university. And when the students are going for internship also or project work, we select only those companies where there is not much of digital transformation has not taken place, so that the students who are having the advanced knowledge of this subject, as Mr. Anand said in the beginning, that they should find the environment congenial for their working. Otherwise, they will leave the company. Because today the youngsters are not like that, our own generation. They know much more about technology. So they would like to work only in a technological environment. So as Mr. Anand said it, we incorporate in the curriculum itself, and so that these students, when they go for internship, they put their inputs to those companies, and many of these companies have successfully implemented this transformation. Second thing, Mr. Mohammed Ilyas mentioned about that example in Saukarpet. I really appreciate that how that lady could make her turnover much bigger than what it was earlier. I was a director of finance of Achi Masala. There we started the online. Now it was not picking up much. Then the consultants were appointed, like our not Mr. Anand, but some other people are appointed. Then the turnover today, if you see, it is more than 50% of the shop sales. It is picking up, actually speaking. So many of these MSMEs have started doing this job. And third thing about this, I should praise Andhra Chamber here for taking the lead in promoting the entrepreneurship, and also from the students, so that many of the colleges, they have signed MOUs, as he said. So in the same way, BSc also, that SME exchange, they have been organizing the program, and they have been rather explaining through the BSc representatives and all that, bringing them to the fold. So though Mr. Arun, I am also a former banker, debt is cheaper than equity. There's a proverb we are learnt in the business schools. But still, today equity is available. And if they have got more equity, naturally their borrowing power increases, you know that. 4 to 5 times the TNW you put it. So naturally, if they are able to raise about 10 crores, naturally the turnover will go up and all that. Though still debt is available to the SMEs. So under this scheme only, the Mudra loan scheme was brought. I am the state coordinator appointed by the finance ministry and on behalf of SIDBI. And Tamil Nadu is number 1 in respect of Mudra loans. More than 3.5 crores borrowers under the scheme, which no other state has achieved. So to large extent, the gap between that MSME registered and that you said, about 6 crores only, 2 crores are availed, 4 crores are not availed. The gap is very much less in Tamil Nadu. It may be all India figure. But as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, the awareness is very high, because we have seen by organizing the camps at various places, it has been very high. Though there is still a gap. I don't say that all the MSMEs have got bank credit. Not like the Jandan scheme or Jandan Yojana. They are all of them are not being covered. But still, in Tamil Nadu, the percentage is much higher. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We can close the session now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, panelists, for sharing the knowledge with us. Now I would request Mr. M.K. Anand to present the mementos to our esteemed panelists, Mr. Mohammed Ilyas, Mr. Zaidi, and Mr. Arun Arvind.